Hello and welcome to the Virgin Wines Wine Basics series, where we teach you how to taste, store and get the very best from the fantastic range of wines we have to offer. In this episode, we talk with our wine buyers Dave Roberts and Andrew Baker on how they taste wine on a day-to-day basis, and they're going to take you through how you can taste wine like a pro. So if you haven't already, check out our previous episode where we talk about decanting and all the benefits it can give you before you taste your wine. Don't forget to subscribe to this video, and without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the boys and they're going to teach you how to taste like a pro.
Hello there, I'm Andrew and this is Dave, and we're the wine buyers at Virgin Wines. Today we're going to be showing you how to taste wine professionally, as we would do when we're selecting wines. So Dave, do you want to kick us off with this white wine?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to start off with white wine. This is Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. First thing when you're tasting wine professionally is that you want to pour what's commonly known as a tasting measure. The reason you do that is that you can give your wine a proper aeration, get enough oxygen in contact with the wine, and it allows you to nose the wine correctly. So first thing you want to do is just have a quick look at the colour. As you can see with this wine, it's textbook Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, so it's light, sort of pale yellow in colour.
Got a bit of green highlights.
Yeah, lovely. And then once you've done that, you're pretty confident that it's going to be light, crisp and refreshing as it should be. And then you give the wine a quick nose. Try and just nose the wine gently. You don't want to, have sensory overload. So just nose the wine gently.
It's very aromatic, this wine. It's classic Marlborough Sauvignon, so it does actually jump out of the glass, this one. But obviously, the reason we swirl it around like that is because it coats the side of the glass and you just get more of whatever it is in the glass.
And one thing to definitely note is when you're looking for aromatics on the wine is to, don't go crazy. Just look for a couple of things that it reminds you of. With this wine, it smells of lemons, some citrus, citrus peel, that sort of stuff. And there's a little bit of cut grass, which you'd expect from a Marlborough Sauvignon. Next thing you want to do then is obviously taste the wine. And you want to try and bring the wine into contact with all of your palate. Different parts of your mouth are doing different things. So on the side is where you get freshness and acidity, and on the tip of your tongue is where you get the perception of sweetness. And tasting wine is about, looking at all those components, the flavours, the acidity, the alcohol, and making sure that that's all in balance.
When you're tasting red wine, there's a slightly different kind of approach, because red wine has much more structure. And what I mean by structure is it has tannins which are extracted from the skins. Now that changes the whole perception in the mouth. So we'll give this a little go with a red wine. We've got a VAT 27, which is a Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot from Australia. It's one of our favourites here and a customer favourite. Now we start off exactly the same, tasting measure, not too high because you'll splash it all over the table, and you just coat the side of the glass like this. You do a little shiggle like this.
A lot of people think that, when you're swirling a wine glass around like that, you're being pretentious, but it's a necessary when you're tasting wine, because if you don't get the air in contact with the fruit, then you ain't going to be able to get all the aromatics and the flavours, doing the right thing.
And what Dave says is true, but it is slightly pretentious as well. But don't worry too much about that. We're doing this professionally now. So that nose, again, jumps out of the glass just like the Marlborough Sauvignon, because Aussies have a great expression on the nose. You can tell it's Aussie straight away. There's all that, big soft fruit coming out of the glass.
Absolutely. Black currants,
a bit of leather,
bit of toffee coming through there from the wine. It's got one thing to note with this wine is it does have a little bit of age to it. So it's 2014, so it is starting to produce those slightly more, well, the wine term is tertiary flavours.
Right. And we actually missed a bit, because actually we should have looked at this wine first, of course, because the colour does indicate the age. So what you get when you tilt the glass like this and you look at it, is you get a fading out at the edge, right at the edge of the glass, of the wine, and that indicates a bit of age. So if you were to serve this wine blind, you'd be able to tell it's a bit old. Now, that's supported by the nose and the palate, of course.
So So looking at the age of the wine here, it does have sort of an onion skin sort of colour around the edge of it, just indicates that it's been in bottle for a few years. If that was more, let's say, pink or purple in colour, then it's going to indicate youth, and that's one of the things that you can detect from assessing a wine by just looking at it.
So we've looked at the nose. It's an aged nose. It's looking very fine at the moment. Onto the bit which you need to treat slightly differently from the tasting white wine. This wine will have some structure. It'll have some tannic structure. It may be quite light, but let's have a look at it now. You might note that I'm drawing air across that. That's to circulate all of those aromas into the olfactory bulb and aerate the wine fully to give it its full expression. Now, they say that 90% of the perception of any wine is actually through the olfactory bulb rather than just simply on the tongue. And that process of drawing air across the wine helps with that. So, onto the structure of this wine. Because the skins are macerated in red wine to extract colour, you also get a tannin, which is a kind of drying aspect in the mouth. But it's something physical you feel in the mouth. So, you know, it coats the teeth. It's what makes your teeth black when you drink a lot of red wine.
It's actually tannins are actually exactly the same thing as you find in your standard cup of tea. So if you overbrew a cup of tea, for example, and you leave it on the side and then you go back and you make it and you drink it, it has that really bitter kind of like tannic structure. It's exactly the same thing that you find in the skins and the pips and stalks of red wine.
That's right. I mean, in this wine, because it's aged, it's 2014, the tannins have softened right off, but they're still there. So when you're looking at a wine and its quality and its, you know, how much you can enjoy a wine, if something's really tannic, it may not just be suitable, you know. You may have to have food with it. This is very, very soft, and like a lot of Australians, you can drink it on its own because of that. You can also have it with food, but the tannic structure is such, because it's softened up with that age, that it's super approachable. I think that about wraps up how we look at wines, and we do this every day. So if you'd like to try this at home, you can. Of course, to taste wine, we all know how to taste wine, and you don't have to go through all of this, but it does help you to assess wine more precisely, would be probably the thing I'd say about it, if that's what you'd like to do.
I think it's like anything, the more you practice, the better you get at wine tasting. So if you do follow these simple steps, you know, tasting measure, aerate it, look at the colour, smell it.
Draw the oxygen over it on your tongue, you know, and then have a look at the wine overall. It's a pretty good way to do it. That's the way we do it.
Absolutely.
And there we go, a big thank you to our wine buyers for giving us an insight on how they taste and review wines on a day-to-day basis. And hopefully that means you picked up a little bit on how to taste like a pro. If you did find this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button so we know about it, and also subscribe or follow us so you don't miss another episode of the Virgin Wines Wine Basics series.